Hello and welcome to EPI's Launch Your Classroom. I'm Kristina, a former elementary school teacher.
And I'm Kyle, a former high school social studies teacher.
So today we're going to be discussing the importance of building rapport. That means, establishing those relationships for learning and making sure that you have, those detailed techniques that you need in order to be able to build that rapport. Can you talk about your first day of school?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first day of school, I always like to establish that by telling a little bit about myself, giving a little bit of an introduction, finding out a little bit about the students.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the process of doing this, and then I had a student who was sitting second seat back from the first row start talking,
Yeah.
very first day. So what I did was I just stopped talking. The rest of the class was quiet. He obviously kind of felt the awkward silence of the room, and then he stopped. So I continued on what I was doing, and it wasn't, another minute later, and he began talking again. So this time I said, I'm going to try some proximity control. I walked over to him, tapped lightly on his desk. He realized I was there, and then once again, he was stopped talking.
Yeah.
So I set them to a task to write a little bit about themselves on a piece of paper, and I walked back in front of the room, and he starts talking again. So I had my seating chart in my hand that had their pictures and their names on it.
Yes.
And I looked at it and I saw his name was Parker. And I said to myself, Parker, I am going to be your favorite teacher. That was a goal that I set for myself. So I went about finding everything I could about him. I read the sheet that I had given him.
Yeah.
I called home, spoke to his parents a little bit.
Great idea.
I talked to some of his former teachers.
Yeah.
I went to the guidance counselor to see if they had anything on him. And then most importantly, I talked to him. And I found out that he was like very, very into camping. Not just casually, but doing it weekends and had done it weeks over the summer. And so I just started Googling everything I could about camping to find out, for myself, some things that I could ask him, like what was the best tent? Is a flashlight better than a lantern? Anything I could think of. And so every time I would see him in the hall, even when he wasn't in my class, I would flag him down and say, hey, Parker, and start in with this conversation about camping, right? And so after a while, I noticed that instead of me flagging him down, he automatically would come over and be like, hey, Mr. Pope, I want to talk for a little while. And the more that he talked to me, the more we built that relationship, the better he became in my class. So, he gained a new respect for me. He knew that I cared about him and his interests. So as he sat in my class, his talking ceased. He stopped having, what many people would perceive as disrespect or disengagement, and was willing to listen to me talking. That was kind of part of this classroom culture that I was hoping to establish.
Yeah, thinking about classroom culture, and I think that it sounded like you did that very well. One, by establishing the expectation that immediately, even from day one, that you're not going to allow that kind of talking in your room, by using that proximity control and those quiet times and just being quiet. The power of awkward silence is really strong. Students like to talk, but they don't necessarily want to be the spotlight when they're not supposed to be, most of the time. So then you want to think about that classroom culture and bringing up that classroom culture. Think about the basics of that. Not all students, such as Parker, like Parker, they're not always going to be prepared for, walking into school and on that very first day, sitting down and getting ready to learn. That's up to you. You need to establish that culture in your classroom. You need to build that with your students as a class. And so thinking about that, you have to make sure to dedicate time. Again, we've spoken about this before. Learning their names is so critical, and it's something that you need to be able to do as soon as possible upon getting in your class and getting those pictures of your students and making sure that you know who they are. Not only that, but also know their interests. Just like you did with Parker and camping, if you wouldn't have taken the time to learn about Parker and to discover that and build that relationship for learning and that rapport with him, there might have been a lot more challenges throughout your year with him. and throughout your semester. So thinking about those relationships, you don't just want to build relationships with the students. You also want to build relationships with the parents. Like we've spoken about in a previous session, I want to touch on that again. It's so important to make sure to build those positive relationships early on. We did mention sending home that parent letter. Remember that is in your resources, and you have the ability to take that and adapt it to your own needs and your own self. So you have that. We encourage you to send that out. Make that contact early. As you can see here, we have different phone call starters that you can use, and you can take them right from the book and help you as a way to start talking to those parents if it maybe makes you nervous or you're not quite sure where to start. So thinking about some of the different ways to build rapport and some of the things that you can do, there are icebreakers, and what we call icebreakers as little games or little things to get to know each other. Can you tell us about some of those?
Sure, yeah. So icebreakers are going to be something that you need to plan for, that you need to make happen in your class. Rapport just won't,
Yeah.
Spontaneously
Yeah.
manifest itself. Rapport is something that you have to work into your lesson plan. So we usually go by the 80-20 rule within the first, 2 to 3 weeks of class.
Absolutely.
Spend 80% of the time on instruction and 20% getting to know your students through these icebreaker activities like Kristina is talking about. So we have several of these in Launch Your Classroom, and we want to go over one today that we both like, called Two Truths and a Lie. So the basic object of this game is to have your students tell you 2 things that are true about themselves and 1 thing that is a lie, and for you or another student to try to figure out which one is that lie. So the purpose of this game is for you to be able to find out basically 2 facts about every single student that you can use. I mean, these are things that they're telling you about themselves, so they're usually pretty important about the student and who they are that you can build upon later. But let's just give you an example of kind of how this game is played. Kristina, if you don't mind, if you can think of a couple of truths and a lie for me.
Let's see. So my favorite color is teal. I was born in October, and I have 4 animals.
Let's see. I'm going to guess that your favorite color is not teal.
My favorite color is not teal. You're correct.
What is it?
It is, in fact, purple.
Purple.
Purple is my favorite color. Yeah. You want to try?
Yeah. Okay, so I've been trapped in an elevator.
Okay.
I own 4 pet lizards.
Okay.
And I have won 2 university research awards.
All right. Let's see. I don't think that you've been trapped in an elevator.
Oh, yeah, actually I have.
You have been trapped in an elevator.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was terrible. I was there for
sounds
like
pretty
3
terrible.
hours by myself in the elevator with absolutely nothing to do. And
Yeah.
then ultimately the fire department got it working and I got out. But yeah, not a happy experience.
Yeah, so you can see how I learned that about him and didn't know, and we work together, and it will be even more beneficial for you when you have a bunch of information from your students that you don't know.
Yeah, so be sure to have them write those down. Make sure they mark which one is the lie so you know what's actually true about them that you can bring back earlier, and then have them pass them up. It's also good to ask for volunteers or ask people to share what their truths and their lies are at. Just try to establish, once again, that classroom culture where you're able to demonstrate your individuality, within the context of the class.
Learn about each other.
So if we get 2 to 3 weeks in, and we think that we're doing a pretty good job knowing our students, how can we hold ourselves accountable? How can we check to see if that's true?
So that's a great question. I think that the best method, and probably one of the easiest methods to hold yourself accountable, is to do a names to faces strategy. And that is by making sure that you can take a roster of your students and you can, one, put, like the term says, put the face to the name, but also that you can write something positive and something specific about each and every student that you have. And if you come across, a line, for instance, I'm writing down, and Bradley loves horses, and Jillian really loves to sing to her little sister, but then Kyle, I can't think of anything really
Mhm.
specific that I know about Kyle. Oh, Kyle got trapped in an elevator. Things like that. So these are the kinds of things, and even if you can't remember, lots of specific things, you should at least be able to recall one or two things about each of your students. And if you can't, that means that you need to spend more time building that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good signal to you,
Exactly.
to set a goal for yourself and say, these were the two kids that I couldn't think of anything specific about them. Tomorrow, I'm going to go in and I'm going to make it a point to talk to both of those kids and find
Exactly.
out something about them.
Yeah.
So we see your questions coming in, and we're really eager to get into those and answer them for you. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do next. Thank you.
Thank you.